Welcome to Film Strip. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504(c)(2), Title 17.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Ron.
I'm Lindsay.
And we are diving back into the sewers for Alligator, starring Robert Forster, Robin Riker, Michael Gazzo, Jack Carter, and Henry Silva. Directed by Louis Teague and released in the year of our Lord 1980. The box office on this movie was 1.6 million, budget 1.6 million, did about 6.4 million at the box office, so it was a pretty decent hit as far as Jaws ripoffs go. But it's not one that a lot of people are familiar with. Lindsay, what is your background with this particular movie?
I saw it for the first time a few days ago. So this is my first time, and even Brian caught the last 30 minutes or so of it. It was easy to catch him up.
Well, funny fact, this is my first time watching it too.
Really?
I don't know how I missed this because it seems extremely down my alley because you've got a 70s character actor in Robert Forster and an even more character actor in Henry Silva, and it's about a giant monster. And I am on record as being a fan of big, stupid mutant monster movies. The worse special effects, the better. Like all those Sci-Fi Channel original movies they used to make back in the day, they were 100% making them for an audience of two people. The giant monster movies were for me, and the Weather Gone Crazy movies were for my mother-in-law, who loved those, like Tornado Storm and Lava Apocalypse and all that.
Yeah.
All that craziness.
What was that Frozen one? 2012 or 2020? I don't remember. 2000.
2012 was the big budget one, but there was definitely a Sci-Fi Channel knockoff version of that.
Yeah.
And there was also like the Asylum version, like Ice Apocalypse or some craziness like that. But it's interesting that neither one of us have a background in this movie, and yet here we are doing this movie.
Chit-chatting about it. I mean, I'm sure both of us have seen all of the other alligator adjacent movies. Lake Placid.
Oh, yeah.
Big one. Jaws. Like you said, this is the Jaws knockoff.
The Italian ripoff, Cruel Jaws. I've seen that one, aka The Last Great White. I've seen that scene in Lucio Fulci's Zombie where a zombie fights a shark, and it's an actual shark, and it's just the shark's handler in zombie makeup, and it is a sight to behold. And yeah.
And we're just coming off of reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this has so many parallels to it.
Yeah, you've got like an intrepid detective who is kind of like a vigilante. You've got a weird, nefarious organization doing
testing,
doing like miscellaneous criminal dumping testing activities, because that could be a tie-in with the ooze, right? The thing that turns the turtles into the turtles. There's no martial arts rats in this, but there is a giant mutant.
But a lot of blood.
A lot of blood and a giant mutant critter. Not a critter. It's not one of the krites. It's an actual like alligator. I don't want to let everyone think that's like a return of the giant critter, like the big critter ball from Critters 2.
Yeah, no.
It's not that. But it is an alligator the size of like a Lincoln Continental or a Buick
minus the tail
LTD or something, minus the tail. I forget what car brand you get. Plymouth Voyager, who knows? Can't remember that part. But what I can remember is the plot, kind of. We'll get into that when we get into the movie. I don't know how your viewing experience was, Lindsay, but mine was a little broken up over the course of several days due to various issues.
I watched mine pretty much straight through. but I paused it to make dinner at one point. So I only had a small break, same day.
And I don't really think it's the fault of the movie, right? I think it's my fault because the movie contains a lot of things that I find super entertaining. I can't speak for anyone else, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I was like, there are some holes that I take issue with that I set the bar low, honestly. The movie was better than I thought it was gonna be. But we'll get to it. Overall, the plot was pretty linear, I would say. So, speaking of plot, Ron, why don't you take us away with the plot summary compliments of JPT, who is out on assignment this evening?
Although I guess if you've gotten this far into the episode, you're aware of it. Okay. So the plot summary for Alligator is as follows. You know that old urban legend about a baby alligator getting flushed down the toilet? Well, this movie basically took that idea, pumped it full of illegal growth hormones thanks to a conveniently located pharmaceutical company that dumps its experimental growth hormone riddled dog carcasses into the sewer, and ended up with a giant hungry alligator named Ramon on the loose. I forgot that the alligator had a name. Suddenly, body parts are popping out of the sewer system, and it falls to a world weary, balding detective, David Madison, to investigate. Of course, nobody believes him because, giant alligators are so last year's news. That is, except for one person, comely herpetologist Marissa, who, as it turns out, had that very same alligator Ramon when it was a newborn baby. Very days of our lives. Everyone gets the memo once an obnoxious tabloid reporter manages to get undeniable photographic evidence about becoming alligator food himself. Chaos ensues as the city's attempts to stop Ramon are hilariously ineffective. And boy, are they hilarious. There's a pompous big game hunter who gets eaten in a back alley, and the corrupt pharmaceutical CEO who caused the problem gets devoured at his own fancy wedding party, crushed in his own limo. Ultimately, it's up to Detective Madison and a herpetologist to finally lure Ramon back into the sewers for one last explosive encounter. And in classic B movie twist, just when you think it's over, another little gator comes floating out of the drain, ready to start the whole cycle over again. Which leads Madison to pursue a life of vacuum repair and disappearing criminals in the Southwest. Lindsay, what did you think of that plot summary?
I thought it was great. It that's that was the plot. Like I said, going through it, it was a really linear plot. So when my husband sat down to watch the last 30 minutes, I didn't feel the need to even really have to catch him up. I filled him in on a few key details that I thought might be important. Turns out they weren't. We'll talk about that later. But it was pretty easy. Yep. Alligator in the sewer, lot of blood, and uh it was fine. It was a nice length for the movie. I mean, it was a nice length for the storyline. I almost think, and I will almost never, ever, ever, ever say this, I feel like they could have added a few minutes to it to get a few more things accomplished. But overall, I thought the plot was fine, right? It was super basic. It was the pumpkin spice latte of 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 movie plots.
Well, it's funny because this is the director of this movie, Louis Teague, is very much a by the numbers filmmaker. Like he's done a lot of work, and none of it is like super noteworthy. Aside from this movie, he did Cujo, which might be his most like famous flick. He did Cat's
Yeah.
Eye. He did the Jewel of the Nile, the sequel to Romancing the Stone. That
Wow. I
isn't
didn't
that good.
realize he did Cat's Eye. I really liked I watched Cat's Eye when I was a kid, and I liked it then, so I don't know. My tastes have changed. I thought I liked Crybaby a lot, and then I rewatched it and have no idea what the fuck was going on in that movie.
Oh, that's fair. But he did one of the best movie jokes in any movie, which is the joke from Clerks, where people go into the video store with Randall and they're looking for that movie, You know that movie with that guy who did the thing, and then he gets distracted and
Yeah.
says, "Ooh, Navy SEALs." Well, Louis Teague is the guy that did Navy SEALs, which is very funny to me. But you're right. This movie is just like A, B, C, D. It just
Mhm.
it follows the whole pattern, and it throws in a lot of random people screaming and being mauled by what is clearly a puppet.
It is a bloody Hallmark Christmas movie, minus the Christmas. I mean, you know how Hallmark movies always have the same, like, they always have the
Yeah.
same basic chunks of plot points,
Girl comes to a
and
small town for some
yeah.
nefarious reason, falls in love with Christmas Island, USA, or whatever, whatever it is.
Or vice versa with a big city or, Halloween instead of Christmas or, they change a few words around but it's still the same movie. That's what this is. And that's not to say it wasn't enjoyable. Um it was a really methodical, that's not the word I want to use. It was just, yeah, a really step by step, you know, ABC 1, 2, 3
If you call it
type of movie.
formulaic, it makes it sound bad,
Formulaic.
right?
Yeah.
But I don't think necessarily it's bad. It's just a very familiar story,
Yeah.
right? It's the beats we all want.
Mhm.
In a lot of ways, it is like those Hallmark, or in my case, those Sci-Fi Channel original movies where, you know, halfway through the movie, a big CGI blob shows up and eats, I don't know, Treat Williams or whoever, Gary Busey,
Yeah.
whatever C-list actor you could get.
Honestly, there are so many twists and turns in movies and TV shows now, and I feel like the first one that ever really blew my mind, I think, was the first Mission Impossible, with Tom Cruise. When I went to see that and that giant twist at the end, and it blew my mind, and I was like, "Oh, this is the craziest movie I've ever seen. That's awesome. Movies never make a twist." It's always like, you know, it's always very, as you said, formulaic. But now so many movies and TV shows are trying to break out and do something that no one's ever thought about doing. Sometimes it's just really nice and comforting to watch a movie that you know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, sometimes you want the thing to do what you expect it to do,
Yeah.
and not to like try to. Because you're right, everybody tries to throw in a twist, and I, you know, it's cliche at this point to blame it all on Shyamalan, but also kind of like that was his whole calling card for like 4 movies,
Mhm.
and even he doesn't do it as much as he used to. But yeah, I don't think that a simple story told well, or in this case, told in hilarious fashion, is a bad thing.
No, I would
Yeah. So
agree.
while we're going to be looking at the positives before we start jumping on the negatives, what do you think like worked best for you in this movie before we jump into it? Right.
I I liked, and this is gonna part of this is gonna tie into what didn't work for me, but I like the beginning flashback of the little girl getting her alligator, and then she turns out to be one of the most knowledgeable, you know, scientists
Mm-hmm.
in the reptilian field or whatever it is, reptiles and something. And that that worked for me. The plot worked for me. The weird, I don't know if this worked for me or not. Interested to get your thoughts, Ron, but they went fully unhinged when it came to killing things in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, starting right off with the puppies and then, the little
Even bef-
boy getting eaten at
even
the
before
toward
we
the
kill
end.
the yeah, even before we kill the dog and the boy, right? Even at the cold, there's a kill in the cold opening.
Yeah.
Because the guy at the all right, so the movie opens up with a cold opening where this teenager is at some kind of like cheesy Florida tourist trap, like Gator World, right? And while they're in Gator World, the gator snaps and like kills the guy who's supposed to be gator wrestling it, or gnaws his legs off or something.
That's
It's
right, I forgot about that, in front of the kids and everything.
yeah, and rather than being like, "Oh no, I'm traumatized," she's like, "Yes, get me a. I want an alligator. Let's do this shit." So she goes in and she buys an alligator, and they take it back to Chicago. And then the dad, for some reason, just storms in, cussing up a storm. And he's like, "We're gonna flush this motherfucker down the toilet," and he flushes the live alligator down the sewer.
I didn't understand that part either, or I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't.
understand why he was so mad. That was
Yeah,
lost on me.
I didn't get that part either. But he said something like, "Just tell him it ran away like the guinea pig did, or whatever."
Yeah.
So that makes me think. All right, so they tell you not to flush wet wipes down toilets. Not even like even the ones that are supposedly like water
Yeah.
flushable.
Yeah.
That just means they'll go down the toilet. It doesn't mean they won't clog up your toilet.
Mhm.
Unless you take the wet wipe and you put it in a glass of water, and if it dissolves in the water like after so long, then it's safe to flush. Just a little
Interesting.
pro tip there for people who like wet wipes. Uh, that has nothing to do with this. But it makes me think, does this dad just have like is he just one of those weirdos who like hates animals, like hates pets?
Yeah, but then why would he? Because he was there when she got the alligator, right?
Did the mom buy the alligator for her while he was like dragging her away? Is my
Oh,
question.
maybe.
Or did she just
Yeah,
like grab the alligator and just like stuff it in her pocket on her way out the door? Did she
that's a good
shoplift an alligator?
My brother used to put frogs in his pockets. He would just walk around with the frogs in his pockets when he was a little kid.
Nice.
Maybe it was something like that, but an alligator.
Was your
But
brother
she had was he
Was your brother Dennis the Menace?
No,
Because that seems
no.
very Dennis the Menace coded behavior, like a
He
little.
was I guess he did have some Dennis the Menace tendencies, but we went on a haunted hayride. Total side tangent, folks. We went on a haunted hayride when we were kids, and our babysitter came with us, and she looked down at my brother, and she just goes, "You take those frogs out of your pocket." And my mom was there too. She didn't see him put the frogs in his pocket, but our babysitter knew he always walked around with frogs in his pockets. She was like, "You're not getting on
Wow.
that hayride until you take the frogs out of your pockets." And he did. He had one in each pocket.
That's incredible.
I
All
don't even
right.
know where he would have gotten them from.
Now,
Uh,
if we ever do the movie Frogs, we're gonna have to get your brother on here because
yeah, he'll come on. He'll come on. His name his name's David Madison, interestingly.
whoa,
I
it's a
know.
cross. Oh my goodness, is he balding in front too and
He
really
is.
sensitive about it? Except for
He's not really that sensitive about it, but he's actually balding in a very similar pattern as this David
wow,
Madison is.
nice
I did not think about that until you just asked. That's actually that worked for me. That joke that kept popping up
about his
throughout the thing.
hairline. Yeah,
Now, did he get cast because he was balding, or did that joke kind of come up and they just thought it was funny, so they left it in and kept adding more balding jokes in?
that's a great question that I have no real answer to. But Robert Forster has famously been thin. Was famously thin in front for pretty much his whole career, or at least as far back as I can think about him. I know he's had like head plugs or stuff put in there to kind of fill it out a little bit, but even then, it's still kind of sparse in the front. But
Yeah.
that's a
That
great question. I feel like that's almost like, well, we've got Robert Forster. Hey, Bob, are you cool with us making some jokes about your hairline? I don't care if the check clears. You can call me whatever you want. And they're just like, all right, cool. John Sayles, throw that in.
Yeah, and it just I like it just caterwauling through the whole movie, you know? It was fun. That
And
worked for me.
and
It was
it's
good.
funny because they don't like overdo it, right?
Right.
They
Yeah.
throw in like four jokes and that's it. And two of them are made by the herpetologist slash love interest, which is also pretty funny to me.
Yep.
A great combination of things. But Did you ever go to one of those? Did you ever go to Gator World or one of those Florida gator themed tourist traps?
I didn't. I have been to Florida several times. I've never been to one of the Gator World places. There are enough gators all over Florida. I feel like you don't need to go to one to see way too many alligators way
And
too close, but
and incorrect. You go to one of those so you can touch one of the alligators.
ah,
At least in 1988, you could touch the alligators.
well, we had at our local zoo where I grew up, they had a lot of different petting days, I guess. And so there was a giant anaconda that they had once, I think. I don't know, it was a big snake. And then I'm pretty sure they did an alligator a few times too, but I've never been to one of the proper Florida type of alligator worlds. Whatever they're
Okay,
called.
so as white trash as it looked in the opening to this movie, it is worse in real life.
I could see that. I believe
Like
it.
there's some real Joe Exotic ass people who run these things. And that's saying
Oh,
something
man.
because across the river from me in southern Indiana was one of those tiger sanctuary places where you could go and pay like $50 and pet a malnourished baby tiger.
Yeah.
Um, that was also like had the tiger equivalent of Down syndrome because it was so chromosomally damaged by inbreeding and maltreatment.
So sad.
And what's funny is that guy actually figures prominently in Tiger King, the first season of Tiger King. Now,
What a
I'd never gone there because it always made me feel very sad. But I
yeah.
kind of wish I had now, just so I had a better story about this, other than driving past the place and saying, "Hey, I wonder if how can you pet a tiger?" And my dad saying like, "You can't. It's probably like sick or dead or something."
Oh my god. Your dad's a smart man.
Yeah, he was a very wise in the ways of these things, and yet he still took me to Alligator World, which I guess that was also like a place to, you know, get out of the van and everybody take a bathroom break and, get a
Yeah.
get a gator fried gator on a stick
Get a
sandwich or something.
Gatorade.
Uh
Ah, ah, ah. I have alligator's good. It was kind of bland. Have you ever eaten alligator?
yeah, I've eaten it a couple of times and you're right, it's just kind of bland.
Mhm.
I feel like
Like,
it's one of those things that you got to like soak it in buttermilk forever
yeah,
in
or
order
just
for
put
it
a
not to
really good
just
sauce on it.
yeah, so it doesn't just taste like swamp feet.
It's gross.
Oh, we get plenty of
That's
swamp feet in
fair
this
though.
movie. So we go
So much
from
swamp feet.
we go from that alligator getting flushed down the sewers to it getting a complete Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles treatment, because as it turns out, Chicago apparently has like a big pharmaceutical company doing illegal experiments, which that tracks. I've been to Gary, Indiana. You can't tell me that place isn't polluted with some sort of horrible contagion, and that's where all of Chicago's sewers end up draining, right to that end of northern Indiana. Um, but yeah, the baby alligator that gets flushed down the toilet lives, and it feeds on discarded carcasses that were used in illegal animal experiments. And some of the animals were test subjects for an experimental growth formula intended to increase the size of like livestock. But it had a side effect, Lindsay. It made the animal that received the serum like violently,
Insatiably
insatiably
hungry.
hungry. Yes, that's the word they used, insatiably.
Yes.
And that's very funny to me because one of my favorite sci-fi channel movies uh, was it um not Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, but there was one that had Tiffany and Debbie Gibson. And Tiffany had one type of giant monster, and Debbie Gibson had the other type of giant monster. And the Gators got into steroids, so it was like it was Piranhaconda versus Gatoroid, because Gatoroid was a gator that got into some steroids and grew to be the size of a bus. And Piranhaconda was a monster that had already existed in a previous Sci-Fi Channel movie. It was a snake with a piranha
Half
mouth?
piranha,
Question
half
mark.
anaconda,
It was
something
a
like
piranha,
that.
but if piranha had like um an anaconda body, so you had like the fish head
Okay.
and the teeth and the teeth, but it was also like gigantic, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that's the name of it, but uh, people won't care.
Like a piranha,
This is
but with a giraffe neck.
ooh, giraffe, giraffe,
Giraffaconda.
giraffaconda. No, that would be a giraffe if it could choke you to death with its neck, which would be, you know what? NBC Universal, you just lost the WWE after this Clash in Paris bullshit that's happening. So you're going to need content. And, buddy, give us a call. I have not been subscribed to Peacock for 3 years for you not to take my movie ideas and make them into Sci-Fi Channel originals.
One of my favorite things about Alligator is that it was on Tubi. I mean, I liked a lot of things about this movie, but I like when it's on an easy to consume, um, platform like
Would
Tubi
you
is.
say
And
that you voraciously consume the content on Tubi?
I would say that if Tubi wanted to sponsor us, we would absolutely say yes.
Look, if Tubi wanted to sponsor us and give us like one account that didn't get commercials, I would have already jumped at it like years ago. And if
Yeah.
Tubi, if you're out there and you're listening and you're not, but let's pretend, if you want us to start covering like your Tubi original movies, I would 100% be on board with that.
Heck yeah.
Just give us a call, shoot us an email, contact the podcast through social media, what have you, and let's get on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's get on that. We're fun to work with. Just letting you guys know.
Sure, and we love crap. So, like, no matter how bad your garbage is, we'll find something nice to say about it. Uh,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
as my former Den of Geek editor slash general mentor slash one of the nicest guys I've ever dealt with, Simon Brew, says, it's really easy to rip on a movie. It's hard to find something nice to say about every movie. And I guarantee you we can find something nice to say about all of the Tubi originals. Because there's a lot of nice things to say about this movie, and it's not especially expensive or particularly good. Because we've got that alligator that's feeding on corpses, and it just grows to be like a big 11-foot long monster with this like like this violent nature and this impenetrable hide, right? Because
Yeah.
they keep shooting at it, and like the bullets are just bouncing off or whatever.
Isn't
Meanwhile,
that isn't that true? I think I don't know if you can shoot an alligator, maybe you can, but alligators have to specifically be killed or stabbed in a certain spot, like,
that's true.
in order to penetrate their
Like the part
scales.
that you see like on top of the water is very
Mhm.
difficult to penetrate through.
Yeah.
And even if you like, if they've got their mouth open and you shoot them in the mouth, you're not guaranteed to like hit the brain because there's not much of a brain there. They're
Right.
just biting and eating. But the belly, the belly is the soft spot where you can really do some damage, right?
Yeah.
Um, but
But you wanna keep it nice if you're gonna make bags and shoes out of it.
yes, and there are a couple bags and shoes jokes in this movie, which
Mhm.
fair. But yes, the alligator grows and grows and grows, apparently feasting off those dead dog corpses, and starts to attack and eat sewer workers. And as such, body parts start showing up in the water treatment plant. Lindsay, have you ever been to a water treatment plant?
Oh, yes, I have. We went on a field trip to one when I was a kid, and then I had the privilege of living, I would say, about a mile away from one at one point.
No, water
Luckily, it
treatment or sewage treatment? Because that
oh,
smell is
that's
totally different.
that's a good point, actually. I think I lived close to the water treatment plant. The I think I only ever have been to water treatment plants, Ron. Thanks for keeping me honest there. Have you ever been to a sewage treatment plant?
Um, no, I don't think so. But I have been to the water treatment plant. I don't know if you know this about where I live,
It
Louisville,
still
Kentucky.
stinks.
it still does stink. But we're famous for having like one of the best drinking water supplies, flavor wise, in the country.
Nice.
Like
I did not know that.
our water is up there with like. Have you ever had New York City like drinking water? I'm sure you have. You ever been in New York
Yeah, yeah.
and just drink the
Um,
tap? Have you ever had the tap water?
yeah, I mean, it's been a while, so I don't remember it being
But like Louisville and New York City are like two of like the top five every year in terms of like the flavor and quality of the water.
really? I just
Mhm.
wouldn't put New York City up there.
Weird thing, their water comes from upstate New York and it's filtered by like the foothills of the Appalachians and that
Ah,
limestone.
yes. So,
And in a very similar situation, Louisville, all of our water comes from underground and it's filtered through the limestone soil that is just all over the place here. Like it's just lousy with limestone.
yeah, I do have family in upstate New York, and they have spring water also filtered like that, and they have some of the best tasting water I've ever had.
Yeah,
So, all right, I can corroborate that.
it's fabulous, but also like that's also why um, Louisville actually makes good bagels because it's very similar water chemically. Because everybody's like, you can't get a good bagel outside of New York. The water's all wrong or whatever.
You can get a good bagel in New Jersey, so New
I,
York New
yeah,
York New York has really good bagels too. Slightly
you can
different, but also good.
you can get acceptable bagels anywhere. Let's not kid ourselves.
You know what?
It's
I
a
didn't even like bagels until I had a Jersey bagel, and then I gained 15 pounds. So that's where we're at.
But have you had Taylor ham
Yeah, except it's called pork roll, but
pork
yes.
roll? Sorry. So the body parts start appearing in the sewer system, and that sewer system thing that they're like fishing the pieces out of looks very similar to some of the water treatment stuff that I've been seeing on tours.
Mhm.
Except the ones, at least here that I've been to, are indoors. So there's just like a roof over top of it, like an airplane hangar. And I'm not 100% sure why that is, but I thought it was pretty interesting that it was like reminded me so much of like the things here in town.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, the body parts are popping out everywhere, and that draws the attention of the homicide detectives, David Madison, who had horribly botched a case in St. Louis and, in true police officer fashion, just got a job in Chicago doing the exact same thing he'd been doing, possibly with a promotion.
Mhm.
But he's got this reputation as being unlucky, and while he's working on this case, the chief clerk introduces him to Marissa, who's our love interest slash scientist. And fun fact, Marissa was actually the girl we see in the beginning of the movie who buys that baby alligator that gets flushed in the sewer. So
Mhm.
really, Marissa is both the cause of and solution to this particular problem. She is like Homer Simpson's theory on alcohol, but for this movie.
This is this is the part that worked and also did not work at all for me, because I really genuinely thought that there would be a point where she recognized the alligator as Ramon and they had this really nice family reunion. And I didn't get that. It didn't happen. And she barely mentioned it too, but we were given this whole backstory, which felt, like it was it was nice. It added a little depth, but I don't know. I thought it was going to take us back there at some point, and it didn't.
Yeah, she throws out one line like, "Oh, I had an alligator when I was a kid. I even bought one."
Yeah.
She doesn't recognize Ramon. Like
No.
we could have given Ramon like a very particular alligator pattern.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe she carved her initials in his head and that just stays in his head. I don't know how alligators work. Like, clearly, this movie is just kind of making up how alligators work. So uh, why not, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was enough other senseless cruelty in the in the film. I feel like her carving her initials into him somewhere wouldn't be off base, but she didn't, and they didn't, and we never heard about it again. And I was waiting. I was waiting for the payoff, and it never came.
But yeah, Madison's initially resistant, and he takes another officer, Kelly, into the sewers with him. And then Kelly, while they're down there, gets ganked by the alligator and eaten. But nobody's going to believe Madison because he's already gotten one partner killed. And like, if you were a cop and one of your coworkers ended up dead, and you came stumbling to the surface and said, "Oh, Officer Kelly got eaten by a giant alligator," are you going to believe that?
Right.
It's
And then
Chicago. Everybody knows the giant alligators live in New York sewers, not Chicago sewers.
idiots.
Chicago sewers have snakes. Come on. Or
Everybody
possibly
knows that.
or possibly those cockroaches from what's that Guillermo del Toro movie where the killer cockroaches live in the sewer? Mimic.
I
They're
don't
not
think I've seen
cockroaches, they're
that.
some kind of bug. Anyway, it's another
Yeah.
killer sewer bullshit thing.
Another
Anyway, long
killer
story
sewer
short,
bug.
the only like killer reptile who lives in Chicago is, I don't know, CM Punk. But yeah, Madison is like already got a reputation among the local cops. Then his partner shows up dead, and meanwhile, behind the scenes, Slade, who is the owner of the Slade Pharmaceuticals company that keeps dumping like glowing green corpses into the
Ooze.
river, into the sewers for the thing to eat, right?
Hmm.
Keeps putting pressure on the chief to like, all right, keep this quiet, get rid of this guy, offer him some hair plugs, get him to Turkey for a few months.
They do suggest that. That's right. I forgot about the turkey thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they mentioned sending him to Turkey. I don't think Turkish hair plugs were the thing back then, but if they were, he would have been an early adopter. And let's be honest, he probably was. And it just didn't work real well.
Yeah.
No offense to Robert Forster. My dad ended up getting hair transplant surgery later in life, and it worked out really well for him.
Nice.
He had good looking hair until he died.
Good for him.
His death was not related to the hair, nor was he eaten by an alligator.
Both good
Although
things.
although he probably would have enjoyed that in a twisted way because it would at least be weird. But yeah, Slade saying keep this story quiet. Madison's out there name dropping giant alligators, and he gets the attention of Thomas Kemp, one of the local tabloid journalist types. And
Yeah.
it's kind of intimated, but not like explicitly said that they hate each other.
Yeah, but there's a tension between them for sure.
And it seems like more it doesn't just seem like, oh, he's the reporter, he's going to ask some annoying questions kind of tension, right?
Yeah.
It seems like I want to spit in this guy's coffee sort of tension.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know. That's like he stole my girlfriend energy.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that being a thing between these two.
I can't think of another. I'm sure it was something else, but yeah,
Well,
it's like
they,
the same vibe.
they don't tell us, so we can just say that
Yeah.
Kemp started making fun of Madison's hair one day, and that's part of the problem and part of the reason why he has this sensitivity about his hairline. But yeah, Kemp here's this crazy tale, and he starts snooping around in the sewers, and that's when he finds the evidence of the beast. And by evidence, I mean the beast finds him and gnaws him to death.
And he takes pictures while it's happening.
Yes. But that means the story takes off, the public starts paying attention, and then they launch this citywide manhunt for the monster, which has some of the funniest sequences in the movie, like unintentionally funniest to me, like where the the Chicago police are driving around in their like flat bottom boats in whatever this body of water is, a river or the reservoir or the lake or whatever, and they're just hurling grenades into the water to try to like get the thing to leave or to bring it to the surface. And that's one of the funnier lines in the script, right? And it's John Sayles, so the script is pretty good. Where someone says, I think it's the big game hunter who says, It's not a German U-boat, or it's not a submarine. You're not going to bring it to the surface with depth charges.
Uh, that there were also in this manhunt several police car and boat and other moving vehicle explosions. So in addition to the unhinged random cruel killings, now we also have random explosions that
Yeah,
would
there's a
never really explode. And I mean, and look, this is a movie about an alligator who lives in a sewer. We're suspending our disbelief. I'm saying that I like a good explosion that would never be a real explosion in real life. I think it adds to the, and I don't know if they meant it to be funny, but I thought it
they
added to
didn't
the
mean it to be
comedy.
funny.
I know. It added to the bit, you know.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite sequences in the movie. These two police boats are like chasing the alligator question mark, or like just driving in circles around it while they shoot at it with M16s. Like,
Yeah.
and let's not, and here they are. They're in a moving boat shooting at a moving target, and they're not like braced on something. They're standing.
Yeah.
So they're not hitting anything. Even if they were like gonna hit the alligator, it would be completely by accident.
Mhm.
Because that is not the kind of shot that's not the kind of like shot that a cop can hit, right? That is not a shot that anybody can hit, unless you're like the American Sniper or somebody. And even he would like be down on the boat, braced, like have a nice firm surface in which to lean on. Like
Uh-huh.
it wouldn't be like just standing there like firing wildly. And one of the cops has his service revolver pulled out. And it's like that thing can that thing won't stop like a guy on PCP. Why do you think it's gonna stop an alligator the size of a car?
Yeah, all
But
of the failed attempts to shoot the alligator before they realize they need dynamite.
do you want to say what leads up to the boat explosion, or do you want me to?
You could say it. Wait, I don't know. I don't think I remember.
The boat hits the back of the alligator and shoots
Oh
off of it like a
yeah.
ramp, and then hits a tree and explodes, and all the guys fall off of it, and all the guys also get eaten, and that's funny. But the thing this is the boat ramps off the alligator like it's Fonzie ramping off a shark on Happy Days.
And
It's the most cartoon ass boat explosion I've ever seen. I think if you took that to the guys who made G.I. Joe in 1985, they'd be like, no, that's not realistic enough for this show with laser
we
guns.
have to overlay that seed now with the Happy Days theme song.
And then Robert Forster gives a double thumbs up on on the
Yeah.
shore.
Yes. If anyone listening wants to do that and tag us, that'd be great.
Yeah, and don't do it with AI. Do it yourself. Do it the hard way. But yeah,
uh
you've got that, and then you've got later on in the movie. So the monster escapes from the cops after they blow up a boat, and
yep.
it climbs into a swimming pool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
climbs into a swimming pool and is hiding there, and then the kids
They're having like
inside
a
having a
birthday
birthday.
party or
Yeah.
a Halloween. It's like a costume party.
But I don't think this is October because people aren't dressed warmly enough.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a costume birthday party, which
Sure, that's a thing.
that's a new one on me, but I
I don't
mean,
know.
I'm not opposed to it. I
Yeah.
mean, if Maeve ever wants to throw a party, that's going to be like one of my top suggestions is like do a costume party because kids love costumes.
Who doesn't love costumes?
Exactly.
But yeah, the night kid gets taken
Yeah,
out. He's like getting bullied by two other boys
two of the kids who are dressed like pirates are taking the third kid, Danny, I
to
think his
walk the
name is,
plank.
to walk the plank. And the
Yeah,
plank is, of course, the diving board that they
yeah,
have in their pool. Have you ever known anybody that's had a diving board in their
yeah,
pool?
yeah.
Yeah. My neighbors, when I was a teenager in the house we lived in, our neighbors had a diving board with a pool and it was awesome.
Yeah. We my neighbors growing up actually had a pool with a diving board, but the the water was the water was pretty cloudy. Um, I mean, in the movie pool, my neighbor's pool was fine. Um, but yeah, they were having him walk the plank,
I
and he
feel
looked
like
down.
I feel like this was like an off-season pool.
Yeah, that's what it felt like that. And when he looked down and saw the gator, I thought to myself, surely this child is not going to die. And
Yep.
then they push him in and he dies. And I was like, what the hell? What is
Yeah.
wow. This
It,
movie, this is they're just pulling out all the stops.
you could
Puppies,
definitely get
children.
away with more in like the 1970s, the late 70s when this movie was clearly shot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they straight up, here's a kid that gets thrown or falls into the pool, and all you see is the pool turn from like
Red.
gross green to red. And it's an
Yep.
awesome visual. Like it works without like showing the child getting mangled or whatever. But I can they do show like a little bit of the child getting mangled? Question mark.
I just remember the blood cloud in the pool, which like that worked for me because that was enough. I think
Okay.
any more than that, yeah, I don't think they showed more than that. They may have shown like a floating appendage or something
I think
like
like they
they
show him
had
like
been, but
splashing in the pool, like
yeah.
splashing to get out, and then the next cut is
And
like
then
smash cut to the red, and I think
yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
brain
Yeah.
filled in the gap, which is what I'm intended to do.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Definitely. That that was and then it took me back to the with the scientist asking for puppies and being insistent, no, puppies. Well, what about small dogs? Has to be puppies.
I guess maybe
Okay.
it has to be a puppy in order for the growth hormones
Yeah,
to work? Question mark.
yeah, yeah.
Although I
That
don't
was
know.
before we knew it was growth hormones, but
Yeah, although I don't know. I don't see that old lady from the beginning with the Lhasa Apso having a puppy.
yeah,
I don't
I
know
didn't
if
either.
you're that age. I don't know. My mom is probably that age, and she bought a German Shepherd puppy,
Yeah,
but
I don't
that's also my mom, and not a great judge of like what's a good age to buy a puppy.
know. Any age, kids.
No, that's not true. Anyway, um, Madison, after this kid gets killed, starts to make the connection between the alligator and the illegal growth hormone thing,
Mhm.
and he goes with the herpetologist, who I'm sure has a Marissa Kendall. That's her name, but
Yeah,
she's kind of just the herpetologist throughout the whole movie. Doesn't really have a name to me,
yeah.
but she shows up as like a science wingman, and they go to Slade and they start like harassing the science guys. The science guy who will later go on to marry the director's daughter. Um, excuse me.
His
And
number one guy.
yeah, his number one guy slash son-in-law, I guess.
Almost son-in-law, I guess.
Yeah, who
That was
is
crazy
yeah.
so I'm totally
No,
jumping, but
go. Oh,
the the wedding scene where the alligator just rolls in there and starts
we're not far from that. It's not a huge jump,
okay,
but
okay.
yeah, Slade gets Madison thrown off the force,
Yeah.
and we'll get to the wedding. We'll get to the wedding.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Then we get to this big game hunter, Colonel Brock, who shows up and immediately like hires some It's Henry Silva, so you know he's kind of a scumbag. But he shows up and he hires like 3 black guys off the street to be his like porters,
Yeah.
which is crazy because it. I don't know why that character had to be racist. I guess because he's a big game hunter, they're all kind of like scumbags? Question mark.
I don't know. I don't
But he
really
like
know any big
he
game.
like shows up and he comes out of like a liquor store, and it's like the liquor store where you get Tenafly malt liquor, um, with a 6-pack, and he gives each of the guys like a beer, and he's like, "You guys can be my porters. Uh, what was it? $10 a day for each of you, and all you gotta do is like follow me around."
Yeah, and then the one guy negotiated him up to 20.
Right, and then they're like his local guides to take him to the neighborhood, to the
Yeah.
places where the alligator had last seen. And of course,
$10 used to mean something.
I mean, $10 probably meant a lot in like 1978 or 79
I
or
know.
80. But yeah, they lead him to where the alligator had seen last, and he goes in the back, and 2 of them run off, but the guy who negotiated him up to $20 follows him in,
hmm
and yeah, it doesn't go well for Colonel Brock because he just gets killed pretty much immediately.
There were a lot of innocent killings, but there was no discrimination, I feel like, when it came to killing. They
Hmm.
killed the puppies, the children, and the assholes. Like,
Yeah,
there
anybody who
was,
crossed this thing's path
yeah,
got eaten. So
yeah,
it was, in that way, it was kind of hard to predict. Well, who's going to get eaten and who's not? Because everybody kind of got eaten, right?
kind of, yeah. Well, not David Madison and Marissa. They were both safe.
Yeah, but lots of people did get injured and eaten.
Yeah, the rest of them, I feel like, yeah, I don't know who else didn't.
Okay, so after the big game hunter gets eaten, we end up with the part you wanted to jump to, Lindsay, the alligator going on a rampage at the wedding,
Yeah.
which like imagine the November Rain video, but instead of like November Rain, it was like people's blood. And
It
instead of
was
like falling into a cake, it was like, what if Stephanie Seymour got eaten by an alligator? And that's pretty much what you got going on here.
It was the most ridiculous thing with the people doing flips, just the random flipping in that scene to into tables, into other people, into food.
I mean,
And
stuntmen are gonna stunt, right?
yeah, yeah, I haven't seen anything quite like that for a while, so it was it was good. The alligator coming in, and alligators, and Ron, you might know this. I feel like I remember learning when I was a kid that alligators actually move really fast on land, even with their short, stubby legs.
They do. They're like they can move at like 30 miles an hour in bursts.
Yeah,
So like even Usain Bolt, they're gonna get him.
yeah. So the Ramon was just working that party. He was just going after everybody.
You gotta
And
roll your R a little bit, Lindsay.
I can't. I can't.
Ramon.
I have what they call lazy tongue, and I can't roll R's with my tongue.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can do the German one, like in the back with the uvula, but I can't do it with my tongue for the Latin-based languages. It's my cross to bear.
Sorry to interrupt your point for some dumb shit.
It's
That's
okay.
what this whole podcast is. It's just we're interrupting each other for various.
Yeah, random tangents. There we go. That's what
But
the
yeah,
people want.
this alligator shows up and just goes crazy at this wedding.
Yes. And I did not peg. I I honestly, this was the one twist. I really did not see the car getting crushed. Like I did not have that on my bingo card. And honestly, liked it. I liked it. I liked the blood kind of trickling out of the
Yeah.
car as it was getting crushed. And
Mm-hmm.
this gator just hammering down on it with its giant gator tail. That was cool. It was a nice touch at an otherwise I don't know, just really chaotic scene.
Yeah, there was a lot of crazy stuff happening, but the one thing I don't think anybody expected was to see like Slade crushed in his car because an alligator like crushed his car.
Right.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That whole scene was crazy because you've got like people are taking the flipping falls into the water. I think does the groom get killed? The number one guy?
It was hard to follow, but I think so, yes. I think he was one of the first
Yeah, I'm pretty
to
sure
go.
like at least half of the groomsmen are dead.
Yeah.
You see a few of them later, like nursing wounds or whatever. The
Yeah.
bride, I think, lives, but I think some of the bridal party gets eaten. Um,
So because the gator was crushing this dude in his car, do you think he realized what he was doing? Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
think he was just trying to open the coconut and get to the meat inside.
okay, okay. Yeah. That makes more sense than
Although I
him
don't
being
know,
like
because
a
like
sentient.
who's to say that this alligator didn't gain super intelligence based off of the weird mystery goop it was eating through dead dogs?
Right, right? I mean, he's not ordering pizza to a sewer layer, but he has figured out how to survive. So maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a really fun, chaotic scene, and that's where um our detective, except he's not a detective anymore because
Got
uh
fired.
he got fired. He shows up with the herpetologist. They're not going to let this thing go, so they show up to this wedding reception in the midst of the chaos. So like Slade dies, the mayor dies. Oh, that's another thing. The mayor gets murked by this alligator
Mm-hmm.
in hilarious fashion. Yeah, the groom apparently does die. Um, there's a great scene where a maid is just like serving people food, and like she gets devoured from like the legs up.
Oh, that's right. Yep. He's,
That's really funny in a sick and twisted way.
yeah.
But
She wasn't the only one. It ate a couple people like that.
yeah, it ate a lot of people like that, and it was very funny every time, but especially the maid because she was wearing like a very stereotypical like
Maid
I'm
outfit.
serving food at this wedding outfit. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yes. So the alligator eats a bunch of people and then fucks off, and then Madison and Kendall come up with a plan to kind of lure it back into the sewers. They're like, we know where he's going to go. He jumped into this, culvert and went into the storm drain, but we know where he's going to
Mhm.
end up because they've already established that he's got like a nest or a home base in the
Yeah.
sewers. And they know that because they found a bunch of like half-eaten dogs that he was saving for later, I guess. But they have a whole plan. Um, Madison is going to go down to the sewer with a conveniently located bomb that they had taken off of a random crazy person previously in the movie that he steals from the evidence locker, while Kendall is going to like get the people there to support
Which,
him, I
how
guess.
did he get into the evidence locker after he'd been fired? Did he just walk in?
He still had his keys. He'd
Okay.
used his keys to get his stuff out of his locker, including his bag, and that's where he took it into the evidence room and grabbed
Okay.
his necessary high explosives. Although I guarantee you, this guy knew how to make explosives even without breaking into the evidence locker because he just seems like that kind of dude, right?
Yeah. He could have figured it out. So he
But,
breaks into the evidence locker, gets the bomb that they took off the guy
mhm.
from an earlier scene, and then he crawls down the sewer.
Yep, and he's deliberately trying to get the alligator's attention.
Mm-hmm.
So he lures the alligator to him. He throws the bomb into its stomach and then climbs up to try to get out of a manhole cover that some lady has parked on. And
Yes.
Madison and Kendall shows up and she's like, "Move your car, lady, move your car." And she finally jumps in the lady's car and moves the car. And meanwhile, we're playing beat the clock, right? Because you're watching the clock. They keep cutting back to him, and the clock's ticking down, ticking down, ticking down. So she jumps in, moves the car. He finally is able to push himself free out of the sewer. And 5, 4, 3, 2. He's climbing out. He's climbing out. He gets out just barely. And then there's fire erupts from the sewer because it blows up and it blows the alligator puppet into a bunch of pieces.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the pieces of the alligator when they blew it up? What did you think about that special effect shot?
I thought it was great. Also, I do want to point out the old lady's car also got blown up with, I think, her in it still.
Oh, good. I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think I noticed that part, but I mean that tracks.
Yep. Because I just went, and there goes the little old lady. And Brian goes, wait, was she still in it? And I said, I assume so. We didn't see her get out, and they've killed everybody else at this point. So we'll just assume.
Hey, for all we know, that lady went on to a long and fruitful life as the Where's the Beef lady.
Honestly, that's valid. But yeah, that worked. A lot of what they did with the alligator worked for me. It feels like they knew the strengths of what they were working with, like the different angled shots. Even I think there were a few shots where they used an actual alligator in a model, like walking through the streets. And the way they shot every scene with the gator, I thought worked pretty well. But yeah, I like seeing it in bits and pieces too, and all the goopy explosions. What did you think about it?
I liked it. They had a full scale model, and then it had like specific head and tail sections, which you see the tail section in the crushing of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had real alligators that they put on a miniature set and shot with like matte paintings and stuff in the back to make it look like it was a giant alligator. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
You
And
could kind of tell which scenes
mhm.
because of the scale, and the alligator clearly looks real as he's, sauntering through. But I liked it. I thought it was clever.
So fun fact, Bryan Cranston, from Breaking
Yeah.
Bad,
Mm-hmm.
he was one of the special effects assistants on this movie.
Was he really?
And he was in charge of making the alligator guts for the explosion in the finale.
Nice.
Yes. And also, you asked about Robert Forster's hair, and that was a choice he made with John Sayles, like, and the director. And he was like, he was having problems with his hair. And, the director said, I don't think it looks that bad. And Forster said, well, let's just work it into the script. And so we got with Sayles and like worked those lines in. And Sayles has already said, well, it was nice because it gave him stuff to do other than say, watch out and duck and alligator.
Yeah,
So that's a
that's
fun fact.
awesome.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. That's cool. Well, nice of him to take the what do we want to call it?
The ribbing.
Yeah, yeah. Nice of him to take the ribbing in stride.
And do you want a completely random factoid?
Always. Yep.
Okay, so the guy who takes them back to the sewers, Callan, the sewer worker, the heavyset guy,
Mm-hmm.
he's an actor named Royce Applegate. And Royce Applegate means no one to anyone unless you were like me and you watched Sequest DSV. If you watch Sequest, he was like the chief of security on Sequest.
Wait,
The,
the TV show
yeah,
Sequest
yeah.
with
Roy Scheider from Jaws, yes.
yeah.
And
Wasn't
Jonathan.
Devin Sawa in that? Or
No,
no?
it was the other one.
It was
Jonathan.
Jonathan Brandis was in it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Who
right.
he was also in Neverending Story, one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yes, but
Neverending Story 2.
But that guy, Royce Applegate from Sequest, when they started shooting Sequest in Universal in '93, was the
Mm-hmm.
year I visited Universal. And when we
Ah,
were there, we were like leaving the park at night, and my dad points at this guy. He's like, "Isn't he on Sequest?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's the security guy. What's his name? I forgot it. I forget his name now, but I knew it at the time because I was
yeah.
watching that show like every week, and it was him."
That's so funny. I watched that show too, and I remember the opening credits, and that's about it.
He's the big burly dude with the beard. He had a beard when it wasn't cool.
Lucky for Ron, it's super cool now to have a beard.
I mean, it was super cool like 10 years ago when it started growing the stupid thing, but now who knows what it is. And I don't really care anymore because I'm old. So, let's not kid ourselves.
Just living your best life.
It was just really funny to because we saw him and I was like, yeah, that's him. And like he was like leaving, so we didn't want to like run up to him and like bother him on his way out. And now I kind of wish I had, because that would make the story even better.
Yeah.
I waved at him and he waved back at me. And
Huh.
like that was like the gist of it. I didn't like go like, hey, can you get your picture? Because this is back when he had film cameras, or like I didn't have anything for him to sign, so I couldn't get his autograph. But my dad did get the autograph of the professional wrestler Haku, aka Ming,
Heck yeah.
at a nightclub in Miami in the 90s, the early 90s. So unrelated to anything. We get to the end of the movie. Robert Forster blows up the alligator, and him and the herpetologist kind of walk off into the sunset together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the sequel set up. And there was a sequel for this movie that I have not seen.
I have also not seen it, but
Would you be interested in watching the sequel?
um I don't know. I would watch the trailer first. I also haven't seen the trailer. I mean, if it's just if if it was a little different, I might be interested in it, but like I don't need to see the same movie with different actors. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah. But I mean, I would give it a go, but it just was set up to start exactly the same way that this one did. So, I don't know how different it would be.
Yeah, pretty much. And the sequel seems like it's basically the same story, but just in a fake city. It's not Chicago. It's the city called Regent Park in quotation marks. And it's the
Gotham.
same thing where a baby alligator like eats all the things and then it gets blown up in the end. Except like Steve Railsback and Joseph and Joe Bologna are in it. D. Wallace.
Yeah.
So it's like a more interesting cast, and they spend like 300 million. They spend like $3 million on it rather than like 1.5 or whatever.
Hmm. So it's
So
a less efficiently made movie.
yeah, I don't know about it, but
I don't know. The tech might be good, but I like to see, especially with lower budgets, how they overcome not having a giant budget for
well,
tech and special effects and things like that.
this one had more of a budget,
Yeah,
but
yeah, but
it might have been less after inflation. So that's a good point.
yeah. And they were still working with I would say, challenging monster for, he's the monster in this monster movie. Our Ramon. Ramon. I can't do it.
Ramon.
Yeah, Ramon. I almost did it. I
Yeah,
can't do
you
it.
got close.
Um, yeah, so it I probably wouldn't feel the need to watch the second one unless I just had it on in the background while I was working one day or something.
I mean, it's basically the same movie just done again with different people.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of the score? Because there weren't really any songs and like
I
pop songs. It
I
was more of
liked
a movie score.
I liked the bit at the end. You got a little bit of where like Robert Forster is like playing cat and mouse with the alligator trying to blow it up,
Mhm.
and you get the more traditional horror movie like
Yeah.
kind of score. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty good, but other than that, it just kind of didn't leave much of an impression on me.
Same. The impression that it left was that the score was and again, this always has such a negative connotation. This is a very middle of the road comment. I cannot stress that enough. But the score felt as formulaic as the plot. It
Yeah,
was
that's
just
fair.
very like, yep, this is, I'm a C's get degrees kind of director.
Yeah, and it's perfectly competent, right?
Yeah.
And but I think we're inching close to the closing of our movie. And we've got to the closing of our movie. We're inching close to the closing of our podcast, excuse me. When we give our final thoughts, recommendations, and popcorn ratings. You think we're there yet?
I think we're here.
All right, well, let's time our weird dynamite bomb and throw it into the alligator mouth that is the podcast. Lindsay, what are your final thoughts, recommendations, and popcorn ratings for Alligator?
Honestly, I did not know what to expect going into watching this movie, except that it was about a sewer monster, because that was kind of our theme for this month. And I set the bar low, and it was a lot better than I expected it to be. And we've talked a lot about how it was really just basic, formulaic, middle of the road. And if you like that, it's but in a comforting way. So I am going to give it a very mid medium popcorn with a little butter, a little salt. You know, the butter doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but it's there, you know. It starts, there's enough. If you shake it enough, you get a little flavor of it all the way through. And overall, pretty good. So, yeah, I would recommend it. If it's an easy watch, it's not very long, and it's easy to follow. So, go out, give it a go. Free to watch on Tubi for now, anyway.
And if you don't want to watch it on Tubi, it's free on the Internet Archive
Also that.
because that's how I watched it. Because that way I could watch it at like 1.25 speed or
Oh.
1.5 speed when I really needed to burn through some scenes of the alligator being menacing or scenes in the sewer where it was too dark for me to tell what was going on, even with the brightness turned all the way up. Which is kind of a problem for me. I don't know if it was a problem for you.
I watched it in two different formats. I actually started watching it on my phone and then switched it to the TV when I was eating dinner. So it was easier to see on a bigger screen, but when I was watching it on my phone, yeah, some of the scenes got too dark. So it may have just been lighter toward the end of the movie anyway.
Yeah, I had some difficulty watching the sewer scenes on either device, um, personally, but I had my phone lightness turned all the way up, so maybe that helped me a little bit on that. But the TV it was pretty muddy. But yeah, so my final thoughts and recommendations and popcorn ratings are I gotta go along with you. Like I'm gonna go with the medium popcorn. It's that thing of when it's satisfying. It's not too much. You're not too blown away with it, but it's like, oh, this is good. I'm happy with this. I'm glad. It's got a lot to recommend it for it, right? I like Robert Forster. I think some of the creature effects are really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like the blend of the puppet and the animatronic and the actual alligators. I think that worked out really well for it. Um, they don't waste a lot of time with the kills. They kill something pretty regularly. So if you're just here to watch some blood splatter, then there's always something going on for you. Um, Robert Forster has the scenes about him being bald there's a couple of good lines in there that I think are really funny. Especially that, but he's kind of like an acerbic sort of Tom Atkins type of detective that I think works really well. And then he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like he's not wisecracking, but he's pretty darkly funny. So I think that kind of works for the tone of the movie. I think the script is pretty good from John Sayles, like better than you think it's going to be, and the direction is like nothing to write home about, but it's competent, right? And he kind of gets out of Robert Forster's way and lets him just kind of make him into like this film noir type of detective guy, and that's fun. But yeah, medium popcorn. That's about and it's worth watching if you haven't seen it. It's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
one you're going to revisit unless you really love like LA pretended to be 1970s Chicago, in which case you'll really like it. But yeah, medium popcorn, perfectly watchable and worth watching. So yeah, that about brings us to the end of this particular episode of Film Strip. You can find us and follow us on social media at Film Strip Pod, where we share announcements about upcoming shows as well as other fun content. Don't forget to subscribe and share the podcast. Bonus points if you leave us a positive review, as it helps other people find our podcast and makes us feel really good about ourselves. You got to respect the algorithm by giving us the 5 stars, because it helps us out. Until next time, for Lindsay and for ChatJPT, I'm Ron. Thank you for listening to Film Strip.
Thank you for listening to Film Strip. You can find more episodes on our website, filmstrippodcast.com. The Film Strip theme music is produced and performed by Frozen Lake 121. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.